Kia ora. This is the Stag Raw. You're listening to episode 312. This episode I'm joined by BOC, aka Ben O'Carroll. You may know Ben from the awesome act that is Dolphin Friendly. He's the man behind the drums, keeping the time and keeping the beat going. And you might have also seen him running ridiculous distances a couple of years back for Movember. 112 Ks. Ended up at the Carlton there in Christchurch. Also this year he did the Coast to Coast, longest day. Says it was the greatest day of his life, so pretty awesome stuff. And then also being an ambassador for Movember. What an absolute champ. So if you're in the rural sector, particularly in North Canterbury, you might have come across BocScan, ultrasound for sheep, and also of late the Tailing Gang. They've been all over the South Island, so if you're in the business of sheep, maybe check out BocScan as well. Yeah, awesome yarns this one. Ben is a bloody legend, and yeah, we just chew the fat on all things sheep farming, endurance, mental health, men's emotional intelligence, and of course Dolphin Friendly. Hope you enjoy this one. Make sure you share it out with all your friends. Make sure you subscribe to listen to more of the Stag Raw, and leave a rating. Enjoy. Just call you BOC, you say?
Yeah, well, not many call me. Not many people call me Ben anymore. Just maybe my old lady. Yeah. And if I'm in trouble for someone.
I was just thinking about that earlier today. I used to get called OC, so I've sort of got a demarcation of Dunedin and Auckland, and I was sort of OC. You know, all my mates from football and who I flattered with in Dunedin call me OC, and then I went to Auckland, and all of a sudden I'm Stag, and then it's the same sort of thing. I hang around my mates with my mum or Nicole here, and she's like, "Who the hell's Ryan?"
Yeah, classic. Oh, that's good. I was actually thinking today I should ask what your nickname is, but now I know you've got a couple. Yeah, Ock or Stag.
Yeah,
could be Rock.
Yeah, that's my I didn't send you email off that email account, but it's ROCON. Rock on.
Oh, nice. Right there.
I think that was from when I was 11 years old. You know, come on, kids, we're gonna get you set up on Hotmail.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
So how do you get the Stag nickname? Obviously from hunting.
No, that comes from when Stags took the shield off Canterbury in 2009.
9-3.
Yeah, 9-3 against Canterbury. Jeremy Winders, what a great man.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, so we all changed our Facebook names to so-and-so Stag, so-and-so. And then I moved to Auckland, and the lads at Varsity Rugby Club, I think, what is his bloody name? Anywho, doesn't matter. Yeah, started calling me Stag, because of course I was in, you know, just an average battler in the Bees development team, so I'd finish our game. The Pims would be playing on number 1 Colomona Park, and I'd be facing the other way looking at the screens, watching the Stags losing my raggers. Hell of a little run they went on with that shield, so that was quite good.
Yeah, no, that'll live on for a long time, I'd say, that victory.
Yeah, you spend a little bit of time down south chasing sheep around.
A little bit. I started out around the Wanaka area, mustering. Nice. When I first left. I went to Lincoln Uni for a bit, and then went down there for a wee stint and sort of cut my teeth, I guess. Yeah, and have done other stints around Southland and Otago with contracting as well as the shepherding thing over the years. It's been good. Met a lot of people around the trips. Yeah.
So what was that transition out of Lincoln like? What were you doing at Lincoln, and then why'd you end up in the mighty Wanaka area?
Well, I grew up on a farm, so it was always sort of an idea to go to Lincoln and sort of learn the agricultural thing. But I was actually real keen on my footy as well when I was at school, and thought I might be able to have a crack at getting like a rugby scholarship there at Lincoln, because they had a really good one. They still do, and I thought, shit, yeah, I'll give it a good nudge, but I didn't end up getting it. But I still just went anyway, and didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be completely honest. But once I got there, I've went to do what did I do? BCom Ag, so commerce agriculture degree, and I don't know, sort of the freedom got to me a bit, and met a lot of good mates, and just pissed up a fair bit too much, to be honest, and didn't pass a few papers, so I went back, and all I wanted to do was sort of go mustering at that stage, because I'd talked to all these other people from different areas around the South Island, like the high country areas and that sort of thing, and thought that's what I wanted to do. But I went back for another year to do a diploma in agriculture, because I thought, I better not hang around and do another 3 whole years. I want to get out there. So I did that, and then I had a mate who I was in our class. Johnny Wigley. He worked there the prior year at Matuki Station down in Wanaka, and he jacked up a job for me for the following year, and he ended up down there. And that was a good look around. I had a lot of fun. And seems like an actual lifetime ago now, though.
So how does that sort of work as a system, though? Just sort of let them run loose on those bloody big hills, and then comes a time where you got to get out in there on a horse, or
it all depends, really. Like different areas, or just different management. If people want to use a horse, they can. But that farm in particular, it was pretty well developed, so it had a lot of developed paddocks, and it was ran like a big scale farm. So everything's just on paddocks, and plenty of grass to be grown there, and plenty of crops in the winter. But they did have a back country, quite a lot of back country there, which usually in the summertime you'll wean the lambs off the ewes. So the ewes no longer require, a heap of feed being put into them, because they're not carrying a lamb or two. So that's when we might send them out the back into the sort of undeveloped country as such, like native country, and they'll just graze away for a month or two, and then that's usually the autumn muster is usually when they come back in for you might give them a drench and crutch them, and keep them around the more developed country, and they can be fattened up before the ram goes back with them and starts the whole cycle again. But it's basically just trying to utilize that high country, that because it requires less input, that country, but it can be used as a bit of a backup, really, for in the summertime when you want to give your better developed country a bit of a spell so it can grow again, and you might be doing silage or anything, really. It's just scope, I guess you'd say.
And so, like you said, at Lincoln, you're in amongst some lifelong mates and good mates and having a lot of fun. How did you find getting 30, 40 minutes out of Wanaka and into a new spot? Was there a good team there with you? What was that like?
It was a good bunch there. There was a few other young shepherds around the area, and they all, like to drink a few beers and go out on a Friday and Saturday and cause a bit of trouble. But I was pretty young. I don't know, 19 then. No, it was good. There was a good bunch, and had a good boss down there. He was pretty renowned to be a hard worker and to put the acid on his staff, and but you work hard and you play hard, sort of thing. And it was good fun. But no, definitely met a good bunch of people, and I still keep in touch with them now. But we did a few naughty things and had some good times there.
On a place like that, you said it's reasonably well developed, plenty of paddocks and stuff. What does working hard look like? What sort of things are taking up your time?
Oh, plenty of stock work, So you're using your dogs quite often, shifting. There might be big mobs of ewes or cattle, and they'll graze a block or a paddock, and they might only be in there for a day or two, because I'll knock it down a fair bit, and then and then shifted to the next one, and then at certain times, like I was just there for a summer in 2011, 12, and shit, it's a long time ago. Can't really remember. I did a lot of work in the yards. You know, you might be, drafting stock would come in. You drafting lambs off like weaning time and that sort of thing. Tailing there when I was there, and also get on the handpiece, do a bit of crutching. That's pretty tough work, I'd say, when you're dragging sheep over the board and cleaning up their asses with a handpiece. And yeah, just there's all sorts of work on farms like that. You know, you'd be doing general work as well. I remember spending a lot of time in the tractor, working up paddocks and drilling and that sort of thing. You'd be, some days we're doing, 20 or just under 20-hour days because you're on a tractor and it gets a bit silly. But
so what's that? Waking up at like 6 o'clock when the sun comes up and going to bed at 10 o'clock when the sun goes down.
Yeah, essentially, but probably a bit in the summertime you're getting up earlier than that, it's 4 o'clock sort of thing, and then you go out in the dark, and because the stock work you want to do, it gets so hot, so you want to get that done, while it's cool in the morning before it gets too hot, and then you might jump on the tractor and you just work through the night or whatever. But yeah, it was nothing too major. It was just part of learning how to work, I guess, and learning the ropes. But there's plenty of places around that, do that sort of thing, and it's good fun. Yeah.
What were the outputs on that place?
The outputs,
lambs and yearling cattle, or
and cattle, yeah. It's just a sheep and beef farm. So they're all Perindale sheep. So the wool, the wool's not worth anything, as such compared to say merinos. Obviously, they're pretty high in value with their wool, and then cattle, they were Angus cows there. So it's just lambs and calves. So yeah, and at the farm next door was a big deer station. Yeah. But Cattle Flat was the name of that place. It was had some of the highest fenced off like blocks in the country, I think.
I've driven past that a couple of times and just end up stopping the car and go, look at that. They're beautiful mob of deer. Yeah.
No, it's pretty cool up there.
The big reds in the big country. Yeah,
definitely.
Speaking of big country, you went to Mount White Station as well?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, after I was down there at Wanaka, I came up to Cheviot and worked for a family in the Leamington Valley. Did about a year or so there, and it was sort of a more intensive side of things as well with farming, much like in Wanaka, but there was no big scale hill country as well. It was all nice, productive, like rolling sort of country, and it was a really good area as well. Made a lot of mates, played footy up here, and I still keep in touch with those guys a lot now because they're only just up the road. But while I was there, I was thinking, shit, I really want to get into a big traditional sort of high country place where you head out on the horse and do big musters and that sort of thing a lot of the time that you're there. And there's a job come up at Mount White, and it was it was only a couple of hours away as well. So I went up there and about early 2013 or something like that. 10 years ago. Holy hell. Yeah.
It's strange to think.
What's that? Sorry.
It's strange to think when you say 2013. I was speaking of varsity. I was at the club earlier this year, and they're like, "Oh, when did you play here?" And I was like, 2013. So, 10 years ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies, man. But it's been a good old time. So
you were saying about like the tradition of Mount White. Do you know much about how the poulter herd was released there? That specific red deer. Do they repeat that much?
Not a hell of a lot, to be fair.
Nah.
I'd heard of the Cox herd a fair bit, we'd muster that quite often, and fellas that I worked there with were right into their hunting, and they were talking about this, some of the heads that have come out of there. But I'm guessing that's a similar breeding to the poulter herd because they actually connect those rivers there. The Cox runs into the Poulter, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just finished reading about it. They sort of a few of them ran across the river along the Waimak and up into the head of Wilberforce, I guess it is, and linked up with the Rakai herd. But yeah, most of them went sort of north up the Poulter and all through that range, and then others went around the front, around the Esk and things like that, and that's where a lot of the Dean's brothers hunted up in that way. Yeah, and they went well over the back and up and nearly, I think, linked up with the Nelson herd coming down. So
right.
And then there's a little bit of West Coast action coming east as well. But yeah, some beautiful park deer that were released in that at Mount White. And
when was that?
Early 1900s. Yeah, they got trained up. So I think Ashley, and then sort of wagoned across the river and up into Mount White Station, and they hung around the flats for I think a couple of years, and then they got to about 30 or 40, and then they started being shooed off because they were eating all the grass.
Yeah,
and the trees and everything else, I'd imagine.
Yeah, hungry buggers.
Yeah,
I shot a few deer while I was there, but nothing major. Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah. You said just call your POC. There's a rumor that there's a big POC in the Lindis Pass. So are you responsible for that?
BOC with a B.
Yeah.
Because it's just my initials. The one in the Lindis. I don't know about that one. Maybe that may have been put there by someone after a few too many beers driving through there one day. Yeah. Well, not the driver drinking, but that was about the time I worked at Wanaka actually, because we had to go through there a few times.
And you're like, oh geez, I'm being labelled all over the country.
Don't know what. Yeah, you always think these things are good ideas when you're in your teens, don't you? I always drive past that hut though and think, it always reminds me of those days there.
So you're not specifically involved, but it may be related to you?
Yeah, no, it was me, yeah. and a good mate of mine, Ben Wollaston, he had his name underneath there. His nickname was Widge, so he had BOC and Widge written on there. I don't know why we thought it was a good idea to tag our own names on an old derelict shed, but seemed to be one of those things that happened. Yeah, it was a bit of a laugh.
It'll go on in infamy.
Yeah.
You were saying about having a few too many beers at Lincoln. Am I right that you've given away the beers for now?
Definitely had a few too many back then, but I haven't fully given up beers. Like I've just had a few moments in the last couple of years where I've sort of realised, like, shit, I've probably, sometimes if I have too many, it always leads to some, well, not always, sorry, but quite often it will lead to some negative things in my life. So it took a couple of things to happen for me to be like, right, fuck it, I'm dropping this and gonna try and make a change, which is, I reckon, well, for my own journey, I feel like the last 2 years has sort of been a shift in focus, and it's been for the better, and it's involved having less booze, because I guess all through my 20s I always sort of thought I like to have a good time, and it's always a social setting if I'm drinking and that sort of thing with mates. I wouldn't be sitting at home drinking alone, with a bottle of Jack or anything like that, but I'd always be keen for a party and a social time, and and as my friends would tell you as well, like, it was always having a good time and probably enjoyed being around me, and I enjoyed being around them, but a lot of the time sometimes I'd have too many, and it just almost like a switch would flick, and something bad would happen, or even if I didn't do anything stupid, it would be the next morning I'd wake up and have loss of memory, or got blackout the night before, and even though I might not have done something offensive or silly or harmful to anyone, it still just affected me a lot.
That anxiety.
Yeah, like big time, like next level. Yeah, like feeling anxious as hell, and I don't know. I was just like, oh, fuck, need to get rid of this. So I just made a bit of a change, but it's not to say that every now and again I still don't have a bit of a blowout or a good catch up with a few beers. Like it's if something negative is coming out of it again, then I'll know to just woo back or stop. And in the training, I sort of got into a bit of fitness stuff as well, and that sort of coincides with the
Bit of
booze.
fitness being the longest day coast to coast there, Boc.
Yeah. I guess that did that one this year. Good fun, yeah. But no, like that is also a driver to be like, well, if you go and drink a heap of beers, it's going to affect your fitness now as well. And I was smoking darts full time most of my 20s as well. Still don't mind the odd dairy with the if the occasion arises, but no, sort of knock that shit on the head. But I wouldn't say I'm fully sober. Yeah, like I have gone big long stints, like 6 months at a time or whatever, and I just feel so much better for it. Like there's lots of clarity and with your thinking, and you can wake up in the morning, and it doesn't matter which day of the week it is. Every day is like 100%. Well, obviously not 100 every day because everyone has their shit days, but you just have that clear mind, and I reckon it's great. Yeah, like getting outside is helpful as well. Like, at the same time that I did sort of first stop drinking, I thought I'd start running as well, and I'd always hated running. The only time I would like to run was if it was a necessity to keep fit for rugby, because I was always big on footy. And the odd time you might go for one or two runs in the summer to try and get fit. But the next thing I sort of got hooked into that, and I don't know. Really, it's been good fun. Yeah, the last couple of years, it's been good ride. Yeah.
Yeah, on the footy thing as well. Like you finish the game, and then it turns into a few beers, and like a saying that we have with our group of friends is you lose sight of shore. And a couple of weeks ago, the guys, I missed out. I don't know about thankfully or whatever, but yeah, they sort of again pushed the boat out, and lost sight of shore, and it was kind of like
That's a good one.
Yeah, especially ironically, my mate's training to be a skipper, and it's like he's nicknamed the Commodore, and we said, well, you're a pretty horrible navigator there, Hick, but you've got to ride it in a few times. But yeah, I know what you're talking about when you have a bit of a messy night, and you look back on those decision makings. Like we were at the Hawke's Bay Ball last year, and I don't know what happened, but I thought I'd make my good time even better by doing what I've been doing, and that was like, I think Nicole said I had 2 glasses of wine that she thought one was for her. 3 or 4. She's holding up fingers here. It's 4. And I just kind of like, oh, well, 1 or 2 is going great, so why not 4, I guess? And then all of a sudden, like you say, the switch happens, and you wake up the next morning with severe anxiety and embarrassment, and oh gosh, and I think on that bus trip, we even had to get off because I just I didn't want to embarrass myself, didn't want to throw up. And then she ordered a taxi, and I was like, no, I can't get into the taxi. I don't want to soil a taxi. And so I was not helpful whatsoever. So like you say, it's nothing sinister, but it's terribly embarrassing and terribly annoying for everybody else involved.
Yeah, and you always make it seem worse in your own head a lot of the time too, but I've probably been guilty of being reasonably hard on myself, I guess, over the years. But no, I know what you mean. Like there's actually nothing really too wrong with doing that every now and again, but it's just sometimes I was definitely doing it too often. I'll admit that. So and I was letting it affect my life in a negative way. So something needed to change, and not only mine, like people around me, close ones, and people that I love and good friends and even family. So it was like, fuck mate, pull your head in, sort your shit out.
Are you still playing rugby?
Nah. That year that I gave up drinking and got into running, I was still playing footy. That was 2021, 2 years ago. Yeah, so I was getting like stupidly obsessed with this running thing, because I could just see the improvements happening, by the week. And it was also in the middle of rugby season too, so I was sort of doing all this running and then trying to play rugby as well. And I was like, I don't know, the passion just shifted a little bit over that time, because, like you say, the footy's all about, it's the camaraderie and the beers after the game, which is great. Like, I love that thing, having it, the beer and the occasional dart, after a good win with the boys. It's like, you can't beat it. But I was sort of getting away from that almost, because I was sort of in my own wee, like a little shell, I guess, and I was just, all I could think about was trying to keep doing this running thing and see if I can get fitter. And I didn't sit around and have beers at trainings or after the game. I just had a shower and buggered off. I might have had a quick 0%er or something, but I could just tell that I was getting away from it. So that I made that decision for that to be my last year of rugby. And then just really hooked into, I got like right into the running, and that the following year, which was last year. Yeah, so this is my second season retired. From good old Glenmark Footy Club, and did 12 seasons there for the Div Ones. Didn't quite crack the 150 games, but got 133. I was happy enough with that anyway.
Absolutely, nice plays there to hang in your wardrobe and show to someone later in life.
Yeah, definitely.
The mighty blue and yellow hoops. Yeah. How did you sort of start getting obsessed on the running? Did you like conquer a mountain and go, shit, this is pretty fun? This is pretty outrageous. Some good views up here.
No, I didn't. It didn't really happen that way. But, I was just running on the road for a start, and I think the first time I went, did about 4Ks or so. I don't know, between 4 and 6 sort of thing, and just, the actual first one, I thought, oh yeah, I'll be able to do 8Ks. Like, there was this loop. I was like, I'll be able to run 8Ks. Just fucking give a death, I had no idea about how to actually run, or what I should be doing, or how hard I should be going, or fueling and all that sort of thing. It's just non-existent to me. But so I tried it, and I just, about 5 or 6Ks, and I had to stop and walk for a bit. I was just knackered. And the next day, like, my legs are so sore. I was like, what the hell? So I toned it back a bit and went to like 3.5, 4Ks, maybe every 2 or 3 days, every 2 days. Sometimes I'd end up doing it every day in a row, and then I just kept doing that from about April 21 for a month or so, say. And then, yeah, what actually got me really hooked into that sort of cycle of almost obsession was listening to David Goggins.
Yes, he's got a lot to answer for. He's a catalyst for a lot of intensity.
Yeah, definitely. And I got.
But who is going to carry the boats? That's the big question, isn't it?
And the logs.
And the logs.
Man, I would, if I met that man, I would thank him, because I feel like he really helped change my path in life. But I listened to his actual audio book, Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, holy shit, like, this guy, he's been through the ringer, and he's just developed this mindset that, there's just like absolutely no, like, giving up is just not an option. And so I sort of felt like before, all through my years of work and that sort of thing, and, sport or whatever, I sort of I thought I had a reasonably good sort of mindset as well, and sort of work ethic and that sort of thing. But I soon realised that there's so much more to give there, and just from sort of inheriting his philosophies and that sort of thing, and just combining it with, say, other lessons in life that I've learned, and my own wee spin on things as well, and it I don't know, I guess the result was this thing of obsession with running for a start, and then it just built from there. And I didn't get into the trail running scene until maybe 2 months after starting running. A good friend of mine, Ryan Carr, Ferret they call him. He's like a gun trail runner. Represented New Zealand and that sort of thing, and he's won lots of races.
That Ferret man, right? He's won the goat up here a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has he won it? Yeah, I think he has
didn't
won it.
Didn't he bike up here and then run it?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, mad bastard.
Crazy fella.
Yeah, no, he loves it. He's a good man, good mate of mine. He actually lives just 5 minutes down the road now.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, but
I think for that he was training by biking to Mount Hutt and then running up Mount Hutt and then coming down or so. So I think I saw him doing some shit like that for a while.
Where was he living then? It might have been Mount Grey. That's his local. Just up behind here. Yeah. He sort of introduced me to trail running. Took me down to the Port Hills and we did the first ever time. I'd sort of increased my distance up to about 10 or 12 Ks by then. Every 3 or 4 days. But I thought I was going all right, and then went with him, and we ended up doing, I think, a 20K run with a fair bit of vert, and I was like, holy hell, this is next level. But I just loved it. I was like,
yeah,
this feels like me, running through single trail tracks, and you got this scenery and look out. Port Hills are actually pretty cool. You look over Christchurch and up to the top, you look down into Littleton Harbour, and looking at Banks Peninsula, and there's so many tracks there. They've done it pretty well. So I got hooked on there today, and then just carried on from there, and ended up doing my own few runs in the mountains here and there. And I just love it. Yeah, haven't actually done a lot of running lately though. I've just been fairly busy work, but there's a bit coming up, so I'll hook into it, no doubt.
Yeah, and so how did you get the entry in for Coast to Coast? Like,
so that first year I started running was about April 21, and then just did the running thing up until November that year.
Yeah.
When I decided to, on the 1st of November, I was like, fuck, it's November. I need to do something. So I was like, fuck it, I'll run 100 Ks to try to raise some money. And I'd only decided that on the 1st of November and thought, I've only got a month to train. I'll do it on the last day of November. And so did that, and that created a lot of awareness and raised a bit of money and stuff for November. It was pretty awesome, and it was bloody hard, because I was only just a few months into running at that stage, and did 112 Ks, I think it was, on the road. That was a decent wee shunt, and gained a bit of, I don't know. Yeah, well, it was good anyway. And then from there, I was like, I'll just keep doing this running thing or whatever. And then someone said, you should enter into the Coast to Coast mountain run, which is just the mountain run part of the race. And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. I've heard a bit about Coast to Coast. Everyone really in New Zealand knows about that race, don't they? But I was never one to be interested in that sort of thing. At all, really. I sort of knew the name Steve Gurney, knew that he'd won it so many times, and had a few mates that had had a crack at it, but never really followed it. So I was like, shit, we'll do this race, and did the mountain run in the following February. So that was February 22, and ended up on the podium for that, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And I saw it was the same day as the 1 day event that we did it, and I saw all these people continuing on from the run, jumping on their bikes and going hard out, and then getting in their kayaks down the Waimak. I was like, far out, maybe I could, give this thing a crack one day, and then just from there I chucked an entry in a couple of months later, and I managed to get the 1 day entry, because I was like, usually people start with the 2 day the first time to sort of get their head around it, and then jump into the 1 day. But I was like, I don't know why, but I just thought that I could do the 1 day. because you got to believe in yourself, don't you? And,
Well,
and
you were right. Spoiler alert.
yeah. And then next thing I did it, so I ended up training all last summer, and for the one day, which was in February of this year, was my first crack at that one day event, and honestly, it was literally the best day of my life. I loved it so much, and just enjoyed the endurance part of it, because it's like a long event. Like I think it took me just under 14 hours. Must have been around that mark, 13 something. And so it's a big old shunt, but I just loved every aspect of it. The part I didn't enjoy as much was the kayaking, but just because I wasn't skilled enough to. I definitely shouldn't have probably been there, because I couldn't even fucking stay up riding a kayak, and hardly had. It's quite hard to train.
Got that grade 3 certificate, and then
Yeah. I only just scraped that through. Like a fucking bit of a yarn behind that. I missed out on half the course, but I had to go back and redo it. Yeah, but managed to get through the race all right, which is cool. And I felt really good through the run, because it was my favorite thing, is running out of the 3 disciplines. So that went all good. And I think the cycling part was fun. Like, I ended up getting a bit of a love for cycling. We actually just brought a new road bike recently, so, and getting into that a wee bit more lately.
Without having done it the 2-day, how did you find pacing? I'm sure when you do the 2-day, people stuff up their pacing too, but it's just sort of over a shorter period of time, that shorter period of pain. Yeah. How was the pacing with that? Did you have any sort of whoopsies of, I've blown it out here, or I've undercooked it?
I definitely, I was pretty serious about it, and so I rang a lot of people that had done it, and even reached out to some of the the elite guys, and talked to them on what their theory is. And the main thing was to the first part of the run, of the Goats Pass run, Dougal Allen actually told me, he said, the first sort of 10 Ks or so, just really actually work hard to button off a wee bit, because you'll realise that you've still got such a long day ahead of you. Yeah, so I had to, because usually I'm sort of go, sort of all go sort of fella. So I'd use my brain a bit there and just button off a bit. But I did, and then got into it where I felt I needed to. But the whole day I kept thinking, I've still got a lot ahead of me. Like, maybe don't push too hard here or there. But in all honesty, once I crossed the finish line, I felt like I had more to give. So I was like, maybe I should have gone a bit harder here and there, and given it my all at this part. But that's just experience, I reckon. Like,
absolutely,
first time doing longest day, you're never going to crack it. But I set my expectations pretty high. I had a target of 12 hours. Probably knowing in the back of my mind that I wasn't going to beat that, but I just, I wanted to. If you don't aim for the top, then I don't reckon there's any point in doing it. Like, you might as well. It depends what your goals are, obviously, but with the racing and that sort of thing, I've been doing a couple of years. I want to do the absolute best that I can, and anything. So that's why I feel a bit shit if I'm not quite prepared for a certain thing, or haven't put in the work that I know I could have done, but haven't quite done it. But should have gone a bit off track here. The pacing, No, I had the pacing reasonably sorted, but wish I'd gone a wee bit harder. I did at the start of that race, because you run off the beach from Kumara Beach and run down to your bike. Like, I went pretty bloody hard on that run, because I knew I could run, reasonably quick enough to try and keep up with the first bunch, because as soon as you get onto your bikes, you want to get into a good bunch.
Yeah.
Of cyclists, there might be, a bunch of, 15, 20 riders, and then a second bunch. I think I ended up in the second one, and I was just pushing so hard to try to keep up with them. And I blew up, and I got cramp, like next level cramp. I'd never had cramp the whole time I'd trained. for the few months, 6 months leading up to it. So I was like, what the hell? I don't know what this cramp stuff is. And I didn't have any cramp stop with me because I don't know, something got forgotten there. But so I ended up dropping back into the next bunch, which was all good. We had a really good bunch that worked well. But I ended up having that cramp with me for the next maybe 3 or 4 hours, right into the run as well. And yeah, it was fucking hard.
Yeah.
It was sore, yeah.
You brought up Dougal's name there, like now having gone through a season of the training and whatnot, looking at what he does, and obviously he's got years of training age in that type of sport. Like, is it sort of in all? Like, obviously it gives you a benchmark and something that you to work to, and you've got to sort of train to your ability. But like, it's a cool sort of yardstick to go, geez, there's a lot of levels to this thing.
Yeah, definitely. No, that huge inspirations. Lots of him and Sam Manson and Braden Curry. Those guys are the best in the world at this game, and I'll definitely try and just feed off what they can give, what they can offer, and I've listened to thousands of podcasts, of those guys on, or any athletes, in the multi-sport world, or even running and cycling and that sort of thing, and just to try and gain little bits of knowledge here and there. And you'll find that in the multi-sport world that everyone's really helpful. You can just Instagram message, that's how I got onto Dougal. I just texted him on there and asked for a bit of advice here and there, and he was happy as to give it, and ended up meeting up with him and had a chat about the race and that sort of thing, which was pretty cool. And the same with the other guys, that everyone's really wants people to succeed in that realm, mate, which is really cool. Like some other sports that you come across, they might be a bit like, well, I don't want to tell you my trade secrets because it's a bit too competitive or whatever. But
rugby in particular.
yeah. I've found in this sport, everyone's really helpful, which is cool. Yeah, because you want to encourage people to do it. It's actually becoming really, really popular now. Eh? Well, maybe that's just since I've been in the world of it, but I've sort of realised that more and more people are getting into it, which is awesome. It's good to see.
Yeah, did Braden win Taupo Marathon? Not Taupo, bloody Queenstown Marathon yesterday. Did I see that?
I think he won the half marathon. Yeah,
is that what it was? Yeah,
ridiculous time, like a minute, an hour 11 or something like that. I think I saw. Maybe I could be wrong, but yeah,
too easy. It's funny you were saying about getting to the finish line. That was one of the things Simon Cochran said. Like, he's off to the World Champs for Ultraman. Can't be far away.
Oh, really?
Must be the start of December. And on our podcast, that's what he said. It's easy, or not easy, but it's straightforward to finish a race. But to race a race, that's where you run into issues, because you've got to sort of be on that verge of redlining it, and sometimes you blow a gasket, and that's your race. But you have a perfect day, like the longest day, and you get over the finish line, and you're the winner.
Yeah, definitely.
Best space you've ever had in your life.
I reckon. I always hear people say it, and I fully agree with it as well. Now is that just actually getting to the start line is like a huge
far out, yeah.
You're doing all this ridiculous training, or and there's so many factors that come into play with, especially a big race like coast to coast. Sorry, like you've got work as well as family and other commitments, and there could be a stupid injury that pops up out of nowhere from doing this little thing, and you try to put all this time and effort into all aspects of life, and the training on top of that, it's like becomes a fairly big commitment, and something can go wrong like that, and next thing you can't get to the actual start line. It's like far out. So when you're actually on that start line, I was like, shit, soaking it up and taking it in and just enjoying that moment as well. And then I just said to myself, like you've made it this far, it's pretty cool. Like, if you don't actually, if something goes wrong today, then it is what it is. You've had a hell of a good time training, as well as the journey has been just as good as the result, I guess.
Yeah, that's that getting to the start line thing. My short foray into ultra running, I a bit like you, like, oh, just enter the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Aotearoa Ultra, which is Banks Peninsula.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had entered 101, but I was about a month out and was trying for 50 odd K or something like that, or maybe
Yeah.
even 60 odd K. And just about 30 deep in the hips and knees and things, just packed in. I was going along the limestone trail there and the Tuk, and we had to walk, I think, 20 Ks back to Havelock, and I was like, yeah, I need to email these guys and say, I'll do the 54, please.
Yeah. Well, so what did you enter first?
The 101, yeah. So that was starting in Little River, going out basically there, up that gigantic hill from Little River out the peninsula of Banks Peninsula, and then into Akaroa, then out of that massive basin, and then over to, I think it's Port Levy, and then over to Pigeon Bay, which was no mean feat. So we started in the 54 in Port Levy, over to Pigeon Bay, and then a big long climb up, which was 21 Ks for just under 1,000 meters to get to the top of Mount Herbert. Down,
nice. Yep.
Down the other side to that hut, whatever that's called.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. I don't know the name either.
Yeah, out to the Giddies Pass, up the Bastard, around down Kennedy's Bush, and then into the Hallsville Quarry for the finish. And
nice.
I was in tears going down that Kennedy Bush spur. It was hard packed, bloody old forest, and you just like knees ripping off every step. I was like, oh, this is just the emotion of it all.
Yeah, it's an emotional sport, the ultra running, I've realised.
The amount of people with tears, is unreal.
Yeah. That's good on you, man. Congrats on that. That Bastard, I know that's pretty steep, like from that sign of the Bellbird, is it? Kiwi's Pass, sorry, up to the top there, yeah.
And it's just like switch back, and then you poke through and you're like, oh, Christchurch must be there, and you can still see Lake Ellesmere, and you're like, you're just like walking round and round every bend. You're like, come on, where's the city? And then finally, I think it was like basically when they got to Kennedy's Bush, you finally see the city. You're like, oh, there we go.
And that's all on the road by the sounds of what you've just said.
So round Port Levy, Pigeon Bay was gravel road. There's whoever was shifting some sheep out there, and
probably old Koopy.
And then up to Mount Herbert was gravel road. And then across the top there was nice single track and amongst the tussock, and then a little bit of bush on the other side. Then through the forest. Again, there was started to be like hard packed forest through there, which was pretty uncomfortable. And then from Giddies Pass up to Kennedy's Bush was all on the road, and brutal place. I was calling it a bit more than the Bastard. It was F's and C's, and this is bullshit. Or what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Luckily, my mum and dad were there, and my daughter, they were sort of hopscotching me in the car, being like, "Come on!" Put a smile on my face, thankfully. But what are you going to say?
Your listeners probably already know your story here, but can I ask how you got into the ultra running and that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, but like you with Goggins and Cameron Haynes.
Nice.
Come COVID, I was on my mate's place in Hawke's Bay. They were sort of a small scale Simmental stud and Angora goat stud. I was living with him and his girlfriend, and then his parents were at in the homestead on the place, and so I was just sort of mucking around there, and they had a nice little hill they started running up, and then got in touch with Helen Woodworth, who she's done sort of Taupo 100, Tarawera and Revenant as well.
Helen,
good. And so then just through talking to her, and she had entered Taupo, and I was like, oh, I should probably just like do one of these bloody things, and so I did, and so then just got training and eventually moved back to Havelock, and because driving 40 minutes into Hastings was not conducive to running for 2 hours, and got to the silly point of you go on a half marathon before you go to work. It was just like, this is bloody ridiculous. I remember it was when I first met Nicole. She'd stayed over, and I got up at 5 o'clock. I was like, all right, you could sort of chill out here. I'm going for a run, and she drove past me in Napier Road, and I was running in.
That's
G'day.
awesome. Oh, good on you, man.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's been a half marathon. This is weird. I do
Yeah,
because I'd never done one before. The very first half marathon I ran, I used to go hunting in the Makino Ridge area, and there's a good loop around up the Mohaka, up the Makino River, and then up onto the Makino Spur and along the ridge and back again. And there's a good trap line in there, which I'd done before. And so I was like, oh, I'll run the trap line, dump my gear, get changed, and then walk back to the hut and try and hunt. It was bloody useless because I was absolutely knackered, but it was stuff like that you're just like, holy cow, what did I just do there?
Rate their ambition. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good
like
on you, man.
because I like stumbled into the hut on my way around, and there was some people there, and I was like, I'll be back in about a few hours, and yeah, then I busted in, and I was just like, oh my god, I am knackered.
Yeah, good shit. It definitely tires you out, but you feel so much better for it, don't you? Like,
Oh,
I noticed. Well, when I haven't been training flat out lately, but when I have been in a training block or just running every day or two, if I stop for more than 3 days, I start to get a bit itchy and think, well, it's not that good for a head either. I don't know. It's probably not that good in the other way as well. Like you get so reliant on something.
Yeah, like you said, slightly obsessive. Yeah,
yeah.
Like we went on a hunt last weekend in the Rohini, and I was going to say having done these things, it gives you the knowledge that you can do it. Like you're carrying a pack. It's only 12 k's, but it becomes that. It's like it's only 12 k's, or it's only one more k, and then we can have a stop. And then it's only one more k, and you can have a stop type sort of stuff, and you just know you can do it. And then because I was so sore from that, I was like, oh, I need to probably lift my strength a little bit. I might have overdone the cardio side of things there. And so then this week, I've been sort of getting up in the morning, going into the garage and doing some strength work. I've sort of watched a video a couple of weeks back of doing the Zertrip squat, where you sort of hook your arms underneath the bar and squat with the weight in front of you, because I don't have a rack or anything. And I was like, oh, I need to do some more squats. And so started doing this. And then, so I'd done it, I think, 4 days last week. And then yesterday, me and my daughter were out there mucking around in the garage and did it again. And then this afternoon I was sort of itching around. And then Nicole got home. I was like, oh, should we go to a training session? Started to get into that really awesome role where you're exactly like you like wake up in the morning and you go, oh, right, so I need to do some training.
Yeah, nice.
Good feeling, on the back of a big mission in the Rohini to then compound it is good, eh?
And to start, like physically feel good as well, eh? Like you'll be starting to feel those muscles develop a bit or grow, and then you get that tight feeling, and then you want to just keep doing it, don't you?
Yeah. How did it all integrate with Movember? Was that just from the 100, or you'd done lots of other things before that?
Nah, maybe like in the previous years, I might have tried to grow a mow. Well, I usually always run a mow, but Movember, just maybe only the year prior, 2020, I think a few mates just did a mow space for growing a mow. We basically just shaved and had a mow, grew a mow over the month, but no prior sort of association with Movember before that run. Did in 2021. So ended up doing that 112k run in November of 21 from Cheviot, from the Cheviot Trust Hotel, one of my old watering holes, down to the Carlton Hotel in Christchurch.
Yeah.
And that was through November, and we ended up raising over 25 grand, which was pretty cool. Like and then Movember approached me after that and said, would you like to, we like what you're all about and that sort of thing. Would you want to become an ambassador to try and, spread the awareness around the whole Movember thing? And I was pretty keen, eh? So, wanted to, I could see that run helped people because, for me, at such an early stage in being a runner, I wouldn't have even called myself a runner at that stage, but it made the big run actually so hard, and I struggled a lot. and that's why I thought it was a good idea to do for Movember, because there's so many people out there struggling with mental health or with cancer, or someone they know with dealing with those things. And everyone struggles in life, and I thought, I'll put myself through a struggle to do this and see what comes of it. And I opened up a bit as well about what I was talking to you earlier with the drinking and that sort of thing on my social media. People I think people appreciated that a little bit, and they saw that I was being vulnerable, which probably helped other people in that sort of space as well, because a lot of people hit me up and said, "Oh, look, I've struggled myself, and I really rate what you're doing. Thank you." And I've seen what you've done, and I've actually got into running myself. Or a couple of people were like, "Yeah, I've started going to the gym and I'm training," and I was like, "Holy shit, like that's pretty cool." It's actually can see the first-hand effects on the helping people, which is, to me, I was like, well, you can't really get any better than if you're actually doing something and helping someone. That's pretty cool. So when Movember asked me, I was like, yeah, pretty keen. Like, if I can help, then I'll definitely do it. And I got to know a few of those guys and went up to Auckland and did this workshop thing up in there with there's a few other ambassadors. There must be a dozen or so of us, and they're all doing amazing things as well. A lot of them are physical challenges, but like what I did, and there's people out there doing a lot, harder things than running. So it's pretty cool to see that. So, and it's all for a good cause, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Bloody oath.
We've had Rob on here a few times. Yeah, old Roundy. He's a good lad.
He's not far from you, isn't he? Is he?
Yeah. It's just just far enough. It's about an hour and a half. So north of Tauranga. Yeah, it's about an hour to get to Tauranga, and then north of there. But yeah, he's a good rooster, old Roundy, and the likes of
he's a top man.
The likes of Jay as well. Just they interact with one another and play with one another, and it doesn't take much to get some inspiration to just sort of go look at your problems and talk to somebody, which is the awesome thing about Movember. It's like, it's just straight up, isn't it?
Yep, definitely. And I'd say with my industry, being farming and the rural scene, like all through that time I was describing earlier, like through my 20s and especially the early 20s, like it was never a thing to ever talk about like how you feel or something like with your mates. Like you'd just be straight away like, "Fuck, you're a pussy. Like, what do you have another beer, you pussy?" Or if you tried to tell someone that you're feeling a bit down or whatever. I just didn't understand any of that either. Like all the partying and pissing up and that, I didn't realize why I felt like anxious the next day or the next couple of days afterwards. I had no idea it was related to, boozing up and probably, a few other things like, that have affected you throughout life. But I had never really thought why I'd be feeling this way or anything like that. And so it really, I think it's a great tool. Like if someone else is feeling like that nowadays, like, fuck, if we can all make it seem more accepted and for people to open up and talk, or just to ask for help, or people helping others, open-handedly, then it's got to be a good thing, doesn't it? It seems to be more accepted nowadays, I reckon, to to talk about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think to create the setting for yourself, like say, often we'll dive into a piss up or get a bunch of people around and everyone bring a box and get out of it and sort of run away from it and suppress the feeling. Whereas if you're actually, when you're on the phone to the mate, instead of saying "come around, let's get lit," actually, mate, I'm having a shit time, this has happened, then you sort of start off on the right foot, and it's not the case that you're 10 beers deep before you start getting getting past all the what was that Humber song, sports scores and weather talk, and move into the real shit, and then like you say, your mate's half cut, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, true. But I mean, I can understand how people can use the drink as a bit of a number as well, or like to take the edge off and that sort of thing. Like I've got plenty of mates that, not to the point where you wouldn't ever call them like bingers or alcoholics or anything, but sometimes they might need a couple beers in a social setting just to
Just
take
let it
the edge
off.
off. Yeah. Because I mean, there is a such thing as like social pressure and anxiety as well.
Yeah.
In a big setting with talking to people, like sometimes it's a bit of Dutch courage. If you need that.
Have you do you listen to Between Two Beers at all?
Between Two Beers?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're good. Yeah, I've listened to a few, maybe half a dozen of their.
So they've revealed a concept of late of driving to the dump, and it's so you're both sitting in the front seat, and of course you're looking at the road, and you can look out at the scenery and all that sort of thing, and then you can have a conversation. And I've heard a few other people talk about long drives. I remember I had a friend from Hamilton drive from Hamilton to Hawke's Bay with her 8-year-old daughter, and just sort of saying it's amazing what you can get out of your 8-year-old daughter when you're locked in a car together for 4 hours. And I even drop a stepdaughter off to school, and it's same age, and the conversations we sometimes have are quite fascinating. But just that whole like finding something else to do and other places to look. You could let it all out. I've even had convos with my mum and my dad sitting in the car for Invercargill to Christchurch or Invercargill to Twizel or something like that.
Yeah,
good way to end up chewing the fat on other things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not much else you can do in a car, is it? Yeah, sitting next to each other. No, it's bloody. It's good. Yeah, I can't. No, I can't remember what I was going to say. Sorry.
You're right. And the charitable thing, you dropped getting blackout there before. Is that you at the start of that song?
With Dolphin Friendly.
Yeah.
Sam Mander, our lead singer, he actually wrote that one and came up with the name. But he's definitely been through a very similar sort of journey. It's quite hard case. So we ended up linking up after uni and starting that band, but and having the same sort of backgrounds as well, which is uncanny almost. But that was Blackout's about booze. Song. It's about how Sam, he wrote the lyrics and he's explaining how he had become reliant on the drink. And say, well, you'd have to ask him exactly what he means, but this is what I gathered from it, and just from little talks with him. Yeah, it's been a while since we wrote that song, but I think it's mainly about, like, I think there's a line in there, my anxiety slips, feeling. I can't quite think what it is, but it's basically about dropping that. Just what I was talking about, like having a few, taking off the edge off, and then next thing you've gone too far and you black out, and then the cycle repeats and you feel like it's like shit again. So a lot of our music has been written around that. There's another song, Like No Other, which is a really good one about good lyrics about actually saying bye. Sam wrote it about ditching the booze as well, because he's gone on a sober journey too in the last sort of year or so. And that's basically about getting rid of this and seeing how the positive effects it's had on him. Yeah.
So I read on Spotify that you've given away some money out of the band. To charities and supported stuff, or you've raised some money.
It's just that from our profits that we get from touring, we'll donate 10% to a given charity or organisation. I think the last tour we picked Women's Refuge, maybe Christchurch Women's Refuge. But it's not a huge amount of money because we're not like a huge band, but we just like to give back, something, and and we've also given. I can't remember what other organisations, to be honest, but there's been a few over the years.
And so with the partying and stuff, like you say, you and Sam been on a similar journey. Like, what's the vibe like of getting out on stage, getting prepped for stage, and then the come down of being on stage? Like, is there
Yeah.
potential to sort of keep the feelings going? And that's
Oh,
where
there's always potential.
yeah.
Because you literally, when you're playing music live on a stage like that, especially if the crowd are really feeling it, like you can, we're giving our absolute all on stage, like pumping out our energy, and you can feel it coming back from the crowd as well. And you literally get a high, like you get a natural high while you're up there. And, you might have a couple beers or whatever while you're on stage as well to quench the thirst. And then once it's all over, everyone's buzzing and you're like, shit, yeah, where's the kick-ons, And,
Yeah.
for the first, we started in 2017, late 17, 18, 19. 19 was a big year for boozing. I'd say, the first 3 or 4 years we partied extremely hard after every show or even before it, during it. And on tours, they were pretty next level. Some of the biggest nights of our lives would have been after some of those shows. Yeah, it's hard to get away from. Everyone else is doing it as well, and everyone's pumped because they've enjoyed your show, your music, and they're like, everyone wants to shout you beer or even some other things, and it's pretty hard to steer clear of it. But nowadays it's changed a bit in the last couple of years, especially with me. But I've found it's been better for our musicianship, not having, a couple. I just don't even drink at all at a show. Now I might have a couple 0%ers and a few V's or whatever to get a bit of sugar in the system, and then I don't actually mind going out sober after a show. I reckon it's good because we still party. That's best of both worlds for me. Still party and have a good time, but drive home at the end of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had someone say that they saw you in Luke's Kitchen, which is Kuatuna,
yeah.
Kuatuna up there in the Coromandel. How the hell do you end up in a place like that? Like, hell of a spot.
Oh,
Like, if
mate,
someone was a pizza, goodness me, they do a good pizza.
I think part of that was just taking, like, we organised a tour around the country, and we wanted to go to some of the meanest spots in the country and sort of have it as a holiday as well,
Mm-hmm.
So the best of both worlds. The money we earn from the gigs pays for the holiday. So it's Mandit Sam and some of his good mates, Tom Healy and that from another band, Debbie Fair. I think they jacked up that Luke's Kitchen, but that was actually a bloody good night. We had a hell of a time there. Such a mean spot, beautiful place, and I remember we had a pretty good. I remember that night vividly. Actually, it was awesome there. Kicked on for quite some time up there.
Yeah.
Beautiful Coromandel.
Yeah, growing up in Invercargill and even through Dunedin, 2008-9, they were probably there 6 or 7 as well. They're my brother's age, left or right. They sort of were, I don't know, you sort of found that they were like too musically diverse. I think a couple of them lecture at Otago music now. They sort of had like ska, they'd have like saxophone, they'd have like cornet, they'd have bass, they'd end up in like massive grungy rock riffs and things like that. Like, how do you sort? Yeah, it's awesome stuff. But like, how do you sort of rock up, be yourself, express yourself, and then have the idea of, maybe we get signed or something, and like the whole idea of commercialism comes in. Obviously, now that you can just get yourself out there on Spotify and you can sort of circumnavigate, but then you've got to sort of self-promote, self-book, self-organize, drive yourself, wash the clothes.
Yeah, I think we, as a band, we're extremely lucky to have Sam. He was a sole driver behind it all, or is, I should say. And he's so driven with being successful with the band from day one. Well, originally him and I started this band, and we're like, let's just play a few covers. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun playing music together. And then we recruited a couple other boys, and they'd changed around a bit, and now and a couple of months later, it is the same lineup that we have now with Tom Claver and Thomas McCutcheon. So the four of us just connected straight away, and after playing a few covers, we're like, we should just write our own shit. And Sam was right into surf rock at the time, listening to bands like Aussie surf bands like Skegs and say June Rats and things like that. So we Sticky Fingers are a huge inspiration for Sam. So and he got me into that as well. I started listening to them pretty hard out, and so we wrote some songs similar to that style, but tried to have our own sort of wee blend of originality in there, which is pretty hard to do, I reckon, looking back now. And I felt like for myself, it wasn't real what I loved, like that style of music. And Sam probably was the same, but we were just sort of trying to fit in that groove at the time. 5 or 6 years ago, that was pretty big in that sort of uni scene, or young 20s and that sort of thing. People were listening to that. So in the last couple of years, we'd sort of cranked into our own style of we sort of fell into our own a bit more, playing some heavier rock and some 90s, almost sort of like 90s grunge and post grunge era, which is what we love. But
we guys practicing Rage the other night. Was that what you were doing?
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. Because we've got a few shows coming up this summer, so we're like, maybe we should just learn another cover. And Sam suggested Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. I was like, everyone straight away was like, yep, let's do it. And we'd sort of all listened to the song that many times that we sort of just organically knew how to play it. So we literally learned it in about half an hour, which is mint. So they'll be playing that this summer. But yeah, that's the sort of style that we're roughly going for, But getting back to your question about how do you decide to go sort of commercial and that sort of thing, it depends what you want out of a band, but I'd say that we wanted to take over the world, from day one until up until recently. We sort of tried to just back off a little bit, but we haven't tried to. It's just the way it's sort of going. But Sam literally has been hounding, like, you just got to infiltrate companies or promoters or record labels. Like, he's just hustling hard, emailing and organising all those tours and that sort of thing. He's done a hell of a job. And the last couple of years, we've had a bit of help as well with management and tour promoters and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just it's been a bit of luck involved, as well as plenty of drive and determination with also, I guess you got to have good product too, don't you? So
it's bloody good music, guys. Yeah. Sam was the first cameraman on NZ Hunter, right? That's right.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He's good mates with Willie Dooley, and it's hard case that he did that, and he was producing the show as well. I think he's big into his hunting, Sam. He'd be a good man to for you to chew the fat with about hunting. He lives and breathes it. Yeah.
Oh, far out. Yeah. No, I've been digging it out, the Dolphin Freely out again the last few weeks. I remember, I think the first song was when he did that song about Tar for Willie, and then I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, what is this band actually like? I was like, holy shit, they're awesome.
Yeah, I highly recommend coming to a live show. It's because we did all the recording and that on the cheap first few albums. And I don't know, it just doesn't do us justice, I reckon. That'll sound like a bit of a blowing my own trumpet a bit, but I honestly reckon our live show, just from what I've heard from other people, as well as I can tell from the energy on stage, like, it's pretty special, I reckon. So it's better than the stuff on Spotify and shit. Yeah.
What did recording look like in those early days?
Garage.
Yeah. Egg cartons.
Microphones set up. Yeah. Mattresses on the wall. It was done pretty well though. We had Connor Jane from Marco Road, another a great Kiwi band. He was our first bass player from the start, and then he wanted to help us out once we he saw that Market Road were growing pretty rapidly, so he had to finish with us and stick with them. But he did all their recording stuff for them, and he's like asked us to come and do it in his shed, in his garage. And he actually had a mean setup, and he studied sound engineering at Canterbury Uni as well, so he's reasonably onto it. Very clever man. But he did our first EP. Then we went to a proper studio, Orange Studios in Christchurch, to do the second one. And then the third, we've done a few others, and TK, our guitarist, in his garage, we recorded a couple of songs in there. And then we did the last one, CJ, or Connor Jane, actually did it for us at an Airbnb with all the decent equipment, just hired out a house and recorded, 4 or 5 songs in space of a week or so. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And you guys do I was listening to the latest Queens of the Stone Age, and they sort of sound like they've sort of live recorded that album. Is that what you guys do, or do you do it in parts?
We've tried both, I think. Yeah, it's pretty hard to record live, the whole thing. Like, you have to nail each part every time.
Be all there, but be slightly separate.
yeah, a little bit. But I think we have done that for a few songs. Like, we did release a
live album.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, randomly we chucked that out there maybe 18 months ago, and that was all recorded live. So we're all playing the actual song together, and recording it all as one. But usually we record our own parts. So drums, I'll lay down a track first, and it might take me about 50 takes to get it right, because I'm a bit anal with my parts. I want to get them perfect. Plus, you need to play to a click track, to the metronome to have it bang on time, which can be hard for me because I'm not exactly a trained musician. I just taught myself how to play the drums and have no. But I guess we've got a natural sense of time. But yeah, it was all just getting that thing perfect, and I always get excited and end up playing a bit quicker than I should and that sort of
thing. That's why you said it's better live.
yeah, exactly. You get the whole experience.
Yeah. How did you start playing drums then? Like, did you buy a drum kit, find a drum kit? Someone had a drum kit?
When I was at school, I think I was about 14, maybe, when someone introduced me to Metallica. Yes. And I was like, fuck, these guys are pretty cool. And, before that, I'd only really heard what was on the radio, and, the old man had, CDs like Bob Seger and Dire Straits and that, which were awesome. Classic rock, love that stuff. And then I got into the heavier shit, and I was like, man, the drums sound cool in this. Like, maybe I could learn drums, and the school had a drum kit. And then I was like, I need to buy my own drum kit. So I saved up all my pennies from working in the weekends and that sort of thing, and bought a Tama Art Star kit. I remember it for $1,800. And
what was your weekend job?
Oh, picking up rocks. Yeah, usually
in the paddock.
Yeah, in the paddock for the neighbour. Usually go around in the tractor and park up and fill up the bucket with rocks. Anything that was bigger, bigger than that. And then so I got that drum kit and chucked it down the wool shed. The old man was like, "Oh, we can't have it in house because it's fucking loud." So chucked it down the wool shed and down there, and I just listened to music on my wee MP3 player and my headphones every day after school, and would just go down there and practice like hell and just try and copy what I could hear through my ears. So there's no, YouTube. Well, there probably was, but we didn't have a computer or anything silly like that. So it was
did you need to pad out the drums, or no, you could just go full noise?
Nah, just go full noise because I was miles away from anyone. Yeah. We had a wee band at school. A couple of boys were into that sort of music as well, and we called ourselves Whiplash. We played a few Metallica covers and Megadeth and things like that. Yeah, we were right into it. It was good fun.
Shit hot. Have you seen that video with the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers doing 30 Seconds to Mars?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Oh.
Ted Smith. He's awesome. Yeah, he's one of my favorite drummers, actually.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe they'd never heard that song before.
He knows them as well. That's what's even funnier. We'd be like, Oh, that's 36 bars. Oh, Jared's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
It obviously shows his taste in music. He probably hates it, emo stuff, but
Yeah, that was something emo.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind 30 Seconds to Mars. They're all
No,
good.
I love
Yeah.
that song too. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a good.
it's a good song, eh?
Yeah.
No, that was cool. Yeah, he obviously, well, amazing drummer like that, and you just pick up the feel, and you know, you can play along to it.
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
my TikTok's awesome, mate. I've got like Justin Hawkins, like sort of analyzing every type of song, and even
Oh
like he was
no.
listening to who's the guy with all the tats in the middle teeth? Just like
What one?
yeah,
Is there a rapper? Or...
I think he does sort of pop music. I can't even think. Post Malone.
Oh,
Yeah,
Travis Barker.
no, Post Malone.
Oh,
Yeah,
Post, yeah.
yeah, he was singing some sort of rock song live, and Justin Hawkins is like, "Oh, what does he muck around with pop? He should just do like rock and roll. He's awesome." But yeah, like he's another one. And then you were saying about Metallica. There was two guys doing both parts of Metallica. One on guitar, and then there was all these comments like, "They need drums, like the timing shit." They're like, I was like, yeah,
Classic.
and of course, that drum beat when the drums coming in one is just awesome. Like
Yeah, playing the six tuplets.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty. Yeah, that song's pretty cool. Eh? That was back when Lars used to actually be creative with his drum parts. Feel like he's got lazy over the last sort of 30 years.
What are you talking about? Just
25.
double kick and double.
Yeah. No, that's all I wanted to do back then is just play that sort of stuff. I had the double kick pedal and trying to do metal and shit, and and then realize that there's a bit more, you can get out of a drum kit, but
more cowbell.
More cowbell, always more cowbell. And then I actually had a cowbell back in those teenage years, and used to love jamming on that. But I reckon, the stuff that Dolphin Friendly had written earlier on, it kind of felt like it was limiting my drumming ability a little bit. So with the later stuff, it's been awesome just to sort of let loose and go nuts with the drumming part. So bring back a bit of that sort of metal stuff that was ingrained in me from the early years.
I'm surprised you didn't keep the cowbell for the early stuff because I've got a drumstick from D-Dub. And it was just the lead singer was holding a cowbell and smashing the shit out of it. So this drumstick's just like got bits eaten out of it, and then he just like threw it away. And I was like, oh, hang on to that. That was just like at a little quarter bar in Dunedin. I think there was about half a dozen of us in the crowd. It was awesome. It was a hell of a night. And, yeah.
I usually chuck away a few drumsticks as well, because mine get eaten too. So smash the shit out of them on the cymbals usually, and they get ripped to shreds. But we've been getting into a phase of snapping drumsticks at gigs, not on purpose, but I think the last tour was like every night for 3 or 4 nights in a row, break a drumstick.
No, bloody fantastic. Well, Boc, it's been awesome. It's often difficult across the internet because slightly disjointed. I think we talked over ourselves a couple of times, but we did pretty well.
Sorry about that.
No, it does happen on the internet. It's not so good. We obviously, when I was down in Christchurch, you were flat out with the new business venture. What are you guys doing there? BocScan.
Yeah, BocScan has been going for 7 or 8 years now. That's ultrasound sheep scanning. So pregnancy testing ewes. Contractor, so head around different farms, mostly around North Canterbury, South Canterbury, and a bit in Otago. And that's in the winter time, so June, July, August. I'm pretty busy with that. And then this year I've just taken on a tailing contracting run. So contract tailing, we've got a set of portable yards, like similar to Prattley's, but they're a custom built one out of Southland, and also a conveyor chute. So we go around farms and set up our yards and paddocks and bring the ewes and lambs in, draft the lambs off and tail them and do whatever else needs to be done to them, and then we'll pack up and head to the next paddock and next farm. Yeah, it's a pretty busy time, but I've had a great season this year, mostly because I had an amazing crew. My staff were bloody awesome, and like anything that requires staff, you can't do it without them, and these guys were next level, great workers and had awesome banter, and just good people. And yeah, it was awesome, mate. We've only just finished that last week, so yeah, it's been a hectic sort of 6 months, I guess, and just taking a wee break now and get into a bit of training. But no, it's gone good.
Is that tailing contracting thing a relatively long-standing industry, or is it because people don't need as much staff on the farm all year round that that's sort of become bigger?
Yeah, I'd say in Southland and maybe Otago, it's been around for a long time because there's so many more sheep down there. And yeah, so some farms might only have 1 or 2 staff members all year round, and tailing is a job that requires a lot of people usually. So it just saves the farmer having to go and try and get a heap of casual guys in, or a heap of mates. A lot of people just get their mates to give them a hand, but our purpose is efficiency and to get in and out and do the job as efficiently as we can. So I'll provide all the staff, obviously, and yeah, it's a lot easier for a farmer, but it obviously comes at a cost. So yeah, it's kind of a newish thing around this area in North Canterbury. Maybe in the last 10 years, it's only there's a few of us contractors around here now, but yeah, no, it's going all good.
And the scanning side of things, that's sort of for commercial farmers or just more studs sort of side of things?
No, all commercial farmers, yeah. I'd say it's been around for 30 odd years now, but just in the last sort of 20 years, I'd say it'd be more popular. Like there's not many farms now that don't scan their ewes.
Because it's all about lamb, is that right? The meat,
yeah, so
mostly about the meat side of things now.
No, I'd say that the main purpose of scanning is for your management after that. So once once a ew's been scanned, like whether she's going to have
1, 2, or 3, yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, or 3, or when she's going to give birth as well, if you're going to feed or age them, and then from then on, that farmer can use that information to get the best out of his ewe, basically, and the best out of his pasture as well. Like if it's a dry year or they're not growing much feed, that they can hold those late ones back a bit so they don't have to, because obviously you'd want to pile in as much tucker into a ewe as you can at a certain time. So if she's got twins or more, and then set stock them out into their lambing blocks or paddocks at a certain time as well. So if they know all that information, they can really manage what they're going to do with feed and mob sizes and whatever that sort of thing, as well as they can budget on their income as well. They know roughly what lambs they're going to have at scanning. They usually have a formula that they work out their losses between scanning and weaning, depending on the season, obviously, and if there's storms and that sort of thing. But
yeah. Floods and snow in November, things like that. Throw a spin in the works.
Uncertain industry, yeah. Like there's so many factors against you as a especially a dry land farmer. Like, yeah, it's pretty tough, I reckon. Like, yeah. I don't know.
Fantastic. So, where do people find you, Boc, if they want to find you?
Online, just Boc, I think. Yeah.
Couple of underscores either side of the
Yeah, 3 underscores Boc, 3 underscores. That's my personal page, and then I don't know what else we got. Dolphin Friendly, if you want to see a bit of our music, but I do have BocScan Ultrasound as a business page for that farm, for that scanning and tailing work as well. But most people will just get me on that Boc one there.
They'll be able to find you one way or the other. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, Boc, my final question is, what keeps you in flow, mate? Like, do you have a mantra, a quote, or a way that you live your life that things go well when you're living by that, or if you're in the dumps, you fall on it and that gets things back on track?
Yeah. Just and recently for me is just like, don't ever give up. I just try and live by that, really, and like just stopping, is not even an option. This is what I and that can be put into many things, whether you're having a shit time or whether you're in at work and it's fucking hard, and you're like, you want to give up, or it's not even an option, I reckon. That's if things are going good. That's for me, yeah. But no, I haven't really thought about that one too much.
That's
It just come to mind.
That's bloody good and simple and easier to call on. Like you say, you're in the shit. You're like, well, don't give up on this. Keep on going. And when it's great, it's like, geez, don't give up on this. This is fantastic. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just doesn't even become an option. Don't let it be an option, I reckon.
Brilliant. Well, mate, I might hit stop on this, and this has been bloody awesome to connect, and look forward to one day doing it in person. It'd be bloody cool.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be good to have a beer with your stag.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. I'll hit the 3 buttons to stop this bloody thing.